All right, let's get right into it. We're going to unpack a pretty wild new investigative report today. It's all about a really concerning trend, the rise of digital repression, but as a commercial product. Basically, state control that you can just buy off the shelf. So let's start with a really provocative question, one that frames this whole thing perfectly. What if a country, any country, could just buy China's Great Firewall in a box? Sounds like sci-fi, right? Well, according to this report, it's not hypothetical anymore. The tech to build a national firewall, one that's capable of massive surveillance and censorship, it's officially for sale. So who's making this happen? Well, the company at the center of all this is called Geej Networks. Now, these guys are linked to a major research lab at the Chinese Academy of Sciences, and they're the ones who've productized this incredibly powerful technology and are now exporting it all over the world. And this brings us to what the report calls this whole new model, authoritarianism as a service. Think about that for a second. It's not just about selling software. What's being sold here is an entire prepackaged system for digital control. Right, so a government isn't just buying a firewall and then being left on their own. They're basically subscribing to a managed service. It's a turnkey solution for repression. And get this, Geej provides ongoing remote support from China every single step of the way. Okay, so what's actually in this digital toolkit? What can these products from Geej really do to an ordinary person's internet connection? Let's break it down. And yeah, the capabilities are seriously invasive. Take deep packet inspection. That doesn't just mean blocking a website. It means the system can literally read your emails or your private messages as you send them. It can even change the content. On top of that, it can track your phone's real-time location, inject malware into files you're trying to download, and even be used to launch massive DDoS attacks to knock other websites offline. But honestly, one of the most chilling features in this whole thing is something they call the user reputation score. You heard that right. The system literally gives every single internet user a score based on what they do online. So visiting a banned site or even just using a VPN can directly hurt your score. So let's just imagine how this plays out for a second. Let's say you use a VPN to access a blocked site. Boom, your reputation score drops. The first thing that happens, your internet slows to a crawl, like a warning shot. If your score drops too low, you're cut off completely. And the only way to get back online, you might actually be forced to upload a photo of your government ID, tying everything you did online directly to your real-world identity. It's intense. You know, this is just a world away from what we traditionally think of as government surveillance. A legal wiretap, for example, usually needs a warrant. It targets a specific person for a specific reason. Cottage's system does the exact opposite. It monitors everyone, all the time, collecting all of their traffic, all of their content, with what appears to be zero legal guardrails. And look, this isn't just a theoretical threat, something that could happen. The report makes it very clear that this technology is already spreading, creating a kind of global firewall piece by piece. When you see the list of known clients from the report, it's pretty alarming. We're talking about countries all over the map, from Central Asia to Africa. You've got Kazakhstan, Ethiopia, Pakistan, Myanmar. We even see it deployed inside China itself, in regions like Xinjiang. And then there's this really mysterious one, a new client they've codenamed A24, and nobody knows who it is yet. And the growth here has been incredibly fast. I mean, they started with their first international client back in 2019. Since then, Geej has expanded at a breakneck pace. They've even taken over from a Western competitor in Pakistan and deployed their system in Myanmar right after the 2021 coup. So you have to ask, how has Geej gotten so good at spreading this tech so quickly? Well, it really comes down to a very, very clever business model that's built for resilience. Their whole strategy is basically built for survival. First, their software can run on anyone's hardware, which makes it nearly sanction-proof. You can't just block one hardware supplier to stop them. Then, they embed their systems deep inside local internet service providers. And maybe most importantly, the whole network learns together. A new censorship feature that's built for, say, one country gets rolled out to all of their clients through a simple software update. Of course, for this to work, you absolutely need the cooperation of local ISPs. And the report really zeroes in on the case of an ISP in Myanmar called Frontier. When asked, their spokesperson gave a complete denial, saying they had never built, planned, or designed anything related to surveillance. But the leaked documents in the report, they tell a very, very different story. They actually show Geej hardware physically installed inside Frontier's data centers. There are even network diagrams detailing exactly how it's all integrated. The report is crystal clear on this. This kind of installation is completely impossible without the ISP knowing about it and actively helping. And this whole ecosystem of control isn't as isolated as you might think. Another bombshell from the report is the role of Western companies, whose own technology is being used to help Geej's business operate. So, for example, the French defense giant Thales provides the software licensing system that Gears uses to manage its products. Now, Thales responded, saying their tool has, and I'm quoting, nothing to do with the surveillance function. And while that might be technically true, it's still a critical component of Gears' business operations, allowing them to sell and manage their surveillance products globally. Okay, so what does all of this mean for the future of the internet? The report paints a pretty grim picture, one of an increasingly fractured and controlled web. Geej isn't just selling censorship. They're in an active arms race against the tools people use to get around it. As you can see from the report's data here, they're having a lot of success at blocking common VPNs. And they're not stopping there. They're also actively targeting more resilient tools like Siphon and Tor. And that brings us to the really critical question here. As these turnkey censorship systems get more powerful, more sophisticated, and way easier to just buy, can the tools for privacy and internet freedom possibly keep up? Because the ultimate stake here, it's the very idea of a single global internet that we've all kind of taken for granted. This trend is pointing directly toward a future of splinternets, basically a series of nationally controlled networks where digital borders are just as real and restrictive as physical ones. And that's really why all of this matters so much. The report closes with this really urgent call to action. It says, we urge the international community to use the insights provided in this report to confront the reality of the commercialization of these technologies and the evolution of this global marketplace for digital repression. It's a powerful warning that this is something we need to face before it completely reshapes the internet for good.